From the very first moment they hit the stage, the Rolling Stones weren't just another rock band. They were a cultural earthquake. They embodied danger, rebellion, and the raw energy of the blues. At a time when the polished smiles of the Beatles dominated, the Stones leaned into their image as the bad boys of rock and roll. They weren't designed to be clean-cut role models. They were here to shake society. That tension between chaos and charisma became their calling card, setting them apart as a band that didn't just play music, but rewrote the rules of what music could be. To find additional stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe to Timelines Unlocked, your all-access pass to the untold timelines of the world's most legendary artists. It all began in 1962, when Mick Jagger and Keith Richards, childhood friends bonded over a love for Chuck Berry records, teamed up with multi-instrumentalist Brian Jones. Along with Bill Wyman and Charlie Watts, they created a lineup that channeled the gritty, electrified sounds of American blues into something distinctly British. Unlike their peers, who often tried to mimic American rock, the Stones absorbed the blues at its core. They weren't simply playing covers, they were paying tribute to their heroes while injecting a new kind of restless energy. In smoky London clubs, their sets were raw, loud, and defiant, and they quickly became the band parents warned their kids about. By 1963 and 1964, the Stones were becoming a phenomenon. Their first UK chart hits were cover songs like Not Fade Away and Little Red Rooster, but it was clear they had the edge to rival the Beatles. Then came the turning point. Keith Richards' legendary fuzz-tone riff on I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Released in 1965, it wasn't just a hit single, it was a cultural detonation. Its aggressive sound, paired with Jagger's sneering vocals about frustration and disillusionment, captured the voice of an entire generation. Suddenly, the Rolling Stones weren't just popular, they were essential. The mid-1960s saw the Stones evolve rapidly. With albums like Aftermath, 1966, they proved they could write music that was complex, provocative, and original. Tracks like Painted Black showcased their ability to combine Eastern influences with Western rock, creating dark, hypnotic soundscapes that felt revolutionary. Their look, unkempt hair, tight clothes, a swaggering attitude, made them the antithesis of mainstream pop. They weren't just musicians, they were architects of a countercultural identity. Fans didn't just listen to the Stones, they lived vicariously through their rebellion. But with fame came turbulence. By the late 60s, their image of danger collided with harsh reality. Drug arrests, growing tensions, and the unraveling of Brian Jones, whose personal struggles with addiction led to his departure in 1969, threatened to tear the band apart. Tragically, Jones drowned shortly after leaving the group. Yet from this chaos came resilience. Mick Taylor joined as guitarist, and the Stones released Let It Bleed in 1969, an album drenched in apocalyptic blues. With songs like Gimme Shelter and You Can't Always Get What You Want, they captured the darkness of the era with brutal honesty. That same year, their free concert at Altamont Speedway spiraled into tragedy when violence broke out in the crowd, ending with a fan's death. For many, Altamont symbolized the end of the 1960s dream. But instead of collapsing, the Stones doubled down on their craft, stepping into the 1970s with a determination to prove they were unstoppable. But then, the early 70s became their golden age. Sticky Fingers, 1971, gave us Brown Sugar and Wild Horses, while its Andy Warhol-designed cover cemented their role as cultural provocateurs. Then came Exile on Main Saint Device Radio, 1972, recorded in a French villa under near-chaotic circumstances. Despite the madness, or perhaps because of it, the album became a masterpiece of rock history, blending gospel, blues, country, and soul into a double LP that defined what it meant to be a rock and roll band at their peak. Through the 70s, the Stones became larger than life. their tours turned into spectacles, with Jagger commanding stadium crowds like a preacher of rock excess. Keith Richards, with his riffs and his notorious lifestyle, embodied the outlaw spirit. Ronnie Wood joined in 1975, stabilizing the band's chemistry, while albums like Some Girls, 1978, proved they could adapt to changing tastes by flirting with disco, punk, and new wave, all without losing their identity. The 1980s brought challenges. Internal conflicts between Jagger and Richards, combined with shifting music trends, led some to wonder if the Stones' time was over. But albums like Tattoo You, 1981, featuring Start Me Up, reminded the world that the Stones still had the power to dominate airwaves. Even as solo projects and tensions pulled them apart, they always seemed to circle back together, united by the unshakable bond of their music. By the 1990s and 2000s, the Stones had become more than a band. They were an institution. Their tours, like the Voodoo Lounge and Bridges to Babylon World Tours, shattered attendance records. While critics sometimes questioned their new albums, no one doubted their ability to command a stage. They weren't just surviving, they were thriving, redefining what it meant to be a rock band that could age gracefully while never losing its bite. And even into the 2010s and 2020s, the Rolling Stones kept rolling. Despite the heartbreaking loss of drummer Charlie Watts in 2021, Jagger, Richards, and Wood continue to perform, honoring his legacy and proving that the Stones' spirit was indestructible. Decade after decade, they've shown that rock and roll isn't about youth. It's about passion, resilience, and authenticity. The Rolling Stones changed music by proving that rock wasn't meant to be polished and pretty. It was meant to be dangerous, alive, and real. They brought the blues to the mainstream, wrote anthems that spoke to rebellion and survival, and inspired generations of artists from Led Zeppelin to the Black Keys. Their legacy is more than their songs. It's the idea that music can capture raw human experience in its purest form. So now I want to ask you, what's the Rolling Stones song that defines them for you? Is it the rage of satisfaction, the grit of Gimme Shelter, or the bittersweet truth of you can't always get what you want? Drop your answer in the comments. I can't wait to hear your picks. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the timeline of one of the greatest bands of all time, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, because at Timelines Unlocked, we're just getting started telling the untold stories of music's legends.